Soul Garden.
Namaste! Welcome to Practical Wizardry. I'm Guardian Agent number 1. Today I'm super excited to introduce our Wizard of the Hour. He is the most loving, prolific, and accurate astrologer on the planet and founder of SoulGarden.me. Please join me and welcome Christopher Witecki!
Hey everybody, thanks for coming. It's a blast to be on the air. I was actually watching the last show and it was tickling me, making me laugh, and that made me feel good. So welcome to Practical Wizardry. This is the show where I'm trying to make magic a bit more practical for everyone, because the truth of the matter is magic is very practical. It's in everyone's life, and because we all want to fall under certain spells, we all ignore the spells we fall under. And that kind of brings us to the first topic, which is love. The sun is in Leo and we're working on the I love vibration. And I don't know how you're feeling at home, if you're feeling the love. Anyone in the audience feeling the love? You've been feeling love this week or no?
Oh,
Starting
yes.
to feel it? Cancer was pretty tough. There was a lot of emotion that we went through when Jupiter went in Cancer. And, you know, the relevance of astrology, just to go into that for one little tiny second. Some of you may know me from my weekly soul horoscopes, where I give the astrology and the zodiac weather. Weather is important to a wizard because the truth of the matter is that the energies of the universe are always going up and down. And for some reason, the planets reflect these waves of energies, these sine waves, and it's a peak and it's a trough, and astrologers can predict that. Well, right now, you know, the energy is very much invested in people's emotions, and right now, the sun is invested in love, which is the core of who we are. We're talking about the I love consciousness with the sun in Leo, and we're talking about the center of our being and the center of our magic, right? And right now, as we're focusing on love, the planet is very emotional. There's lots of things that are making us emotional, lots of news we're hearing that makes us emotional. Lives are changing. And so the pot of magic is stirring, because when you put love and emotion together, you get passion. And passion is really what the law of attraction is attracted to. So I've been teaching everyone how to step into their magic, and I can clearly tell I'm making a difference already. I've had so many wonderful people posting and sharing in the studio audience, people who watch the show later. And I appreciate all those comments. We have had some inner brats posting, yes. So that tells me that we are definitely triggering. One inner brat wrote something like, "I would watch this, but the applause and all the laughter could, turn me off," or something. I can't remember how much. And I was like, "Applause and laughter. Oh, there's a little brat. Little brat doesn't want to play. So be careful. You know, it's like, don't let your little brat spoil the party." You know, the whole point is that we all want to have fun. None of us want to feel stupid or silly, you know, and that's just the way it is. Oh, another person said, another inner brat was like, "I can't watch because they're wearing sunglasses and it's too impersonal." And I was like, "Oh, inner brat." You know, I got to tell you, we make them wear sunglasses because inner brat's eyes would go blind if you look straight into the eyes of one of our agents. Their hearts are so big. You have to clear the inner brat stuff out before you can look into the eyes of an agent. That's the truth. So we make them wear sunglasses. But it's all about stepping into our inner child, and that includes our inner brat, and we want to bring both on board, and we want to go parading down the street. Now, last week I told everyone it's time to develop a gospel. And a gospel is all based on the philosophy of that a sun, which is the center of a solar system, the sun is the star in your heart, that sun actually needs to be fanned. And what's really interesting, I don't know if you guys saw the little link I sent out, but the sun is about to change its polarities. It happens every 11 to 12 years. And so our source of energy is about to flip, which I would imagine, let's just watch the moods of every inner child on Earth and see what happens when Creator flips the vibration upside down. What is that going to mean? Polarity flipping is kind of interesting. We'll have to talk about it and how our heart feels. But right now, we're still clearly in this side of the cycle, and we're moving forward in Chapter 2 of Sun in Leo. And that means what we want to do is fan our fire, and we want to keep a fire consistent. And that's why I bring up inner brats, because inner brats are one way that our fire can be dampened by ourselves, and we really want to just keep cheerleading ourselves on. And I had said, let's come up with a gospel. And a gospel is a daily ritual that you have to do with yourself, where you take music and you start dancing around like an idiot, and you sing out loud. So we're going to step from that to this week, and we're going to talk about that. But before we talk about all that work, I want to talk about love spells. Because the one cool thing about Leo is falling in love, right? And that's what I want to talk about with our studio audience too, is what kind of people put you under a love spell. We talked about this in the very first week, and we talked about a love spell and how people have love spells, and I've gone through a variety of love spells myself that I've been under, and we named some. Have you guys thought about love spells in our studio audience? I actually want to ask you a question maybe a little early, and that is about your love spells.
So
And you want to have...
if anybody wants to participate, just hold up your peace symbol.
Yeah, we'll unmute you. We have reasons for this. Anybody?
We have Michael.
Speak up, brother.
I'm like the love spell general, I just like cast that crap, and then I make it happen, and then I fight that doubt. It's just like, yeah, I'm in love. Just have everyone like, nah, you're not.
Oh yeah, that's your head. That's your head. That's the smartass. We're going to talk about that. But who puts you in the love spell in the world? You know what I mean? What females put you into a love spell, brother? Like a Marilyn Monroe kind of thing. That's what I'm curious about. And I'm curious about it because we were talking about last week with Johnny Depp. A lot of girls have a Johnny Depp spell. And we're going to talk about what is it, and that's what Mike is speaking to, is his frustration that his love spells don't work. And that's really what I'm trying to get to here in this class is how do you make your love spell work, particularly for the greatest spell on earth, falling in love? And what is falling in love anyways? I mean, that seems to be some sort of a magic. Does it have power over us or doesn't it have power over us? And why does it have power over us? Why would it have power over us? Maybe that's something we want is power over us. Maybe that's sexy to a wizard, right? That's all part of it. So what makes it super magical about a person? Well, the truth of the soul dynamics is that when someone has a spell on you, like Christy Brinkley had a spell on me for a long time in my youth. Still works. I can still think about her, get those rosy cheeks. But she hasn't aged in my mind. Sorry, Christy. That's what happens when you're a poster girl. I've noticed there's not many poster girls. It's like not really PC for boys to have poster girls anymore, which is kind of strange, because that's kind of, pornography is one thing, which now kids have total access to. But, when we used to fall under one image of one person, there's a lot of magic going on there. And that's what I want to get into today is what is that magic? What are you feeling when you look at that and you're imagining? What you're imagining, I think, first of all, is that your heart is free. For some reason, certain people free your heart. Why is that? Well, that's what you want to get into. Why is it that some things can free your heart and some things cannot free your heart? And why aren't we paying attention to it? Why isn't it part of our daily reality to just like look at these things versus just fall into the spell? The truth of the matter is that to step into our magic, we have to fall in love with ourselves. And when we actually fall in love in a spell with someone else, we're actually falling in love with ourselves or wanting to fall in love with ourselves, especially if it's something that's unattainable, like Brad Pitt or Christy Brinkley. These unattainables that you can't have or you feel like you can't have. But what do these do? Well, when we have a crush on something that's unattainable, we're actually holding space. This is the beginning of making a spell. So believe it or not, when you grow up fantasizing about falling in love with reality TV stars or falling in love with people on screen, that's very healthy wizard work. That's very, very healthy. You are actually manifesting a love spell, and you're actually manifesting the potential for that love when you allow your imagination and creation to go into it. And that's what we're talking about today is how to fall in love with yourself and how to get to fall in love with someone else. And what does fall in love with mean anyways? That's always a big question. A lot of people say they've been in love with lots of people. But usually when I talk to them and I get into the story, they have not been in love with those people. Not technically as far as wizard tricks are concerned, So falling in love with ourselves is the first thing. And that's actually what I started last week to teach you was falling in love with yourself. The gospel ritual is about falling in love with yourself, right? You are basically doing a ritual every day that reinforces your love for yourself and your love to connect to yourself. And this little ball of fire is the beginning of falling in love with yourself. To fall in love is what you're hoping to do with someone else. Someone's like, I want to fall in love. I want to lose control. I just want to be totally succumbed by it, right? Well, to get that, which is we'll talk about, you have to first feel that way about yourself due to the law of attraction. If you don't think you're gravy crazy, the best thing on earth since sliced bread, no one else will either because of the law of attraction, the very simple, practical law of attraction. So the girls who want to be saved and rescued, or the guys who want to be saved and rescued, guys have that same sort of thing. Women think about a prince coming up on a horse to rescue them. And some guys think about some woman that's just going to take care of them forever, which is like a weird mom on a horse riding up to rescue them. It's like a weird, but boys do that weird stuff. I mean, everyone has, I don't think they think their mother, but I think if we looked at the imagery, we would see a lot of similarities probably. And that's just because that was our first understanding of what that is. And that brings me to what I'm coming to. Everyone has a love story in play. Everyone has a gospel in play. And really, when I talked about a gospel last week, we were talking about the fundaments of a gospel, which is the music and the dancing and the ritual. But the gospel is really, if you're from your scary Bible stories, just kidding. But there's a lot of spells in that book. I'm just saying. But if you know from those stories, they call them gospels, and gospels are basically stories told from mouth to mouth to mouth to mouth to mouth, and shared. And so everyone has their own gospel. I have the gospel of me, and you have the gospel of you, and it will be your story, hopefully sung at your funeral, right? Or something cool. That's what mine's going to be. Big parade, band, hopefully. I'll be late, of course, to my own funeral. That's part of my spell. The chauffeur something will happen, and I'll be late. That's just part of my spell. So we want to figure out what our gospel is, but the first thing we have to figure out is the gospel that we are falsely under, because everyone's under a false gospel. What? Yes, it's the love story that you subscribe to. It may not be your real love story. And believe it or not, we were just talking about how daydreaming and dreaming about things is how things come to be. It's true. It's how things come to be. The more loving energy you put into anything, including a daydream, the more it comes true. That's actually the way the metaphysics works. There are more steps involved, so you can't just daydream, but when you daydream, it is actually manifesting your story. And this brings me to, well, what is your love story? Because your love story is actually your gospel. The way you want to love someone else is actually a reflection of the way you love yourself, believe it or not. And that's kind of where human beings are super ignorant, that we just like, oh, well, I'll just treat her the way I treat myself. That's like a default switch when you're born. Just treat her the way you treat you, right?
Thank you, Christopher. We'll be right back right after these messages.
What does it take to find love these days? What's your greatest strengths? How do you love? I'll tell you all the nuances about you, dating, what kind of gifts you want, what kind of marriage you want, what kind of person you want to live with and don't want to live with, and of course how you love, how you lust, what you're drawn after, who chases you, and your greatest lesson, which is often a weakness. Your birthday love and lust report has that answer. We'll reveal your secrets on video at secretsofbirthdays.com.
And we're back. Well, Christopher, take it away.
So we're talking about love spells, and we're talking about falling into your own gospel, and I was talking about the fact that that we fall under our gospel of self-love, and it's a reflection of our love story. And I learned all this actually in the last year. So some of this information is brand fresh new, folks, me understanding how spells work and love spells work, because to be honest, I haven't quite gotten my perfect favorite love yet. She hasn't come. So I'm fully honest as a wizard that this is a spell in progress. However, I have learned some things. And one thing I've learned is that our belief structure and our story corrupts our spells. So I was under the spell of a certain female at one point, and we were discussing love movies, and I was sharing my favorite love story of all time, which is The Princess Bride. Has anyone seen The Princess Bride? That is like my favorite, most romantic story. I just think it's cute, it's funny, it's Rob Reiner, it's got great lines, it's just so memorable. I think I watched it when I was sick on the couch a lot as a kid. So like this love story comes into a spell. So I share it with this certain princess that I'm thinking about escorting at the time, and she points out to me that the princess in this movie is a total bitch. And I was like, she is. And then I started thinking about all the princesses I had dated. And started thinking about how I had been chasing the snotty princesses. I had been chasing snotty princesses from the beginning, and I was like, wow, and there's a choice clearly. And this girl is, that princess in that movie is beautiful. And I don't know if it's because she was blonde hair and I had a thing for blondes or whatever, or the movie was just so enticing I fell for the story. But really, actually, that story was imprinted in my inner heart chakra. And I think it definitely contributed to some of the spoiled princesses that I dated and further with, And what is spoiled anyways? We could talk about that. Spoiled is, that the princess or that the brat, basically the brat's running the show. When the brat runs the show, they're always trying to make you prove your love to them. They're always trying to raise the ante. They want you to prove it. That's a brat talking. You know, it's like, deal with your brat. I deal with my brat, you deal with your brat. Brats aren't sexy, you know. But that kind of pouty princess is like a brat in charge. And that happens sometimes, even when you're spoiled. You know, it happens a lot. So I'm curious with the audience, what is your love story? What is your favorite love story?
We
How
have
about Dawn?
If you just unmute your screen.
I love 50 First Dates with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore.
Really?
That's cute.
I do!
That's so interesting. 50 First
Tried
Dates?
over and over and over. I like it.
She's laughing. Look at the witch cackling. She's totally in love with their love spell. And okay, so I'm just curious, does it echo in your life at all?
Well, now that you said that, I guess, I guess I can be a little crazy, and, that shouldn't deter anybody,
Well, is that what it is? It's that you're like, some boy will... Every day I wake up a different witch, and one day some man will tolerate it. That's funny. I'm just curious.
It's no
Okay, all kinds of crazy. Well, I'm definitely Adam Sandler, where I would be like, going after the girl that can't remember me. Jesus Christ. I'm Christopher. Lots of people know me. I'm on the internet. God! That's totally mine. Who else has a love story? Okay.
We have Jessica. Jessica, just unmute your screen.
Titanic.
What is it?
Titanic.
Oh, no way. No way. So your love is always sinking? You're gonna die and end? Oh my goodness. Why did we go with this Romeo and Juliet pattern anyways? Like, I was so pissed in Romeo and Juliet. I'm like, that is just stupid. When I finally sat down and got to know Shakespeare, I was quite angry at how stupid that was. So has everything sunk, sweetheart?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. All right. So it's also, the thing about Titanic, too, is that whole story of, it's really through the eyes of an old woman who basically never loved again the rest of her life, which is also effing sad. You know what I mean? Not fun. Who else has a love movie? Anyone? We're going to move on.
Movie.
Okay, so we got Kristen.
I want to do at least 3.
John and Yoko. I said it wasn't a movie, but it's my favorite love story.
Well, that totally counts, actually, and thank you for taking it outside of Hollywood.
Or we could say Jack and June,
John, I say let's stay with John and Yoko, because that's pretty much, as it turns out, in my opinion, that woman is still putting up magic for that man and the whole legacy and everything else, and it's just so romantic. But then again, it's still a love story. It's like, so you intend to have your man shot someday. That's my point. No, and there's no criticism here because... What's that?
I said I didn't say it wasn't tragic. I said it was a love story.
I totally understand. And actually, that's what I'm trying to bring awareness to. And that's what we're going to segue to next is the love story. And really, what love story are we repeating in our head? What love story is really our gospel? And I think it's hard and difficult to understand your love story with yourself. So it's easier when you're thinking about falling in love with someone else. But the truth of the matter is, falling in love with someone else is a master level kind of thing. And what I'm going to show you right now is a quick little diagram of how love kind of works so that you can be more proficient with what I call walking the master's path. Okay, here we go. I'm going to teach you a little bit about love. Now, the whole point of being a wizard is to unite your inner Congress, and your inner Congress are your 12 states of awareness. But the truth is that each state of awareness has 3 chapters of consciousness, and this is where we get our love confused a lot of times, because there are 3 levels of love, at least in the way the metaphysics seems to be. I call it beginner, proficient, and master level. These are the 3 decans in astrology. And believe it or not, you can look at the ages that we have lived in, and the truth is the age of Aries was our beginner age, which ended around the time of Christ, right? at which point went to the age of Pisces, where we're learning to be proficient, and now we're allegedly turning to the age of Aquarius. I haven't seen it. Let me know if you see it yourself.
I've heard the song.
I've heard it too. It needs an upgrade also. So what we're working on here is the I Love state of awareness. And the I Love state of awareness is the source energy of all of our heart, all of everything that we bring our source code from. And it has 3 levels as well. The first level of love really is life and death. And that comes down to the idea of whether love is present or not. So human beings spend a lot of time in the age of Aries in themselves, where they're just trying to bring love onto the basic level. And you can see that you have to love yourself to survive. And so you have no choice but to love yourself before you start walking out the door to fall in love. Because love is step 10 and above. And passion, which is a good marriage, which I haven't had yet. I haven't seen the pink zone yet. I'm very excited. They call it plurality. That's what it is. And no, I am not Sister Wives guy, despite all of the rumors I've read on YouTube. It's not me. However, plurality is when you surrender to everything and not be focused on any one point in the moment. So the 3 states of love are inner life first, where you have to do the ritual and love yourself, then manifestation, where you can manifest with that love, and then plurality, where you can experience that love in the outer world. With the love consciousness itself, it's also kind of broken down into creativity at the base of it. So your creativity is your core. So, you know, light casting, which is manifestation, and then joy, which is the top. All right? So enough with my slides. What I want to teach you is, last week when we were talking about creating love spells and falling in love, we were really talking about creating a daily ritual, and that is to step into your heart and to step into your ritual. And I'm really curious if anyone had some good gospels that they came up with. I'd like you to share here at the end of the show. But I want to make sure that everyone gets in their instruction for how to step into the next. Are people, who here is in a relationship right now, in a love relationship? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great. Who wants to manifest? Doesn't count yet. That's the next question. And I can see you are in love with yourself. Which is good. No, it's good. We like that. We applaud. Okay, so who wants love? Who wants to manifest love in their life? Who's not ready right now? It's a fair assessment. No one's not ready. Superb. We have a full class. All right. So nearly everyone wants to experience joy, and the truth is that joy, or serious joy, what I call it, that chapter 3 pink love, now that actually happens and is a state of being in love. We're not technically in love till we've got the love up to chapter 3. All right? Why is that? Well, to be in love, as far as I'm concerned with the metaphysics, it's that you are already a full or 100% person, and then you go out and trade love. And you have to be standing on a solid 100% person and then go trade. Everyone knows what we end up doing, right? We all don't really have our inner love filled up at all, and we go and we hope the other person will complete us. And that is very junior, 0 to 10 degree love. So your 0 to 10 degree love is where you are trading love with each other instead of focusing on being self-sufficient sun yourself. You know, and I wouldn't even call it twin stars, because twin stars would be 2 solids, right? You're still trying to get your own fire going. Now that's okay. There's no judgment with that whatsoever. I mean, at the end of the day, we all need training wheels to learn where we're lovable. And the reason why you're in a relationship that's on 100% is because you're still learning why you're so lovable. But you can skip past that, so to speak. Not drop them to the core. Don't let me drop anyone this week, okay? I'm just saying you can start to fan your own fire, because even if you're in a relationship right now that, I don't care what relationship you're in right now. I don't care if any of you who are in relationships are happy or not happy. Guess what? There's more to come. That's the way the universe always is. More to come. And you know, you read a lot of these like glamour magazines and stuff like how to spice up your sex life and all that stuff. The truth is, you know what? That stuff is all. Those are all props. Cosmopolitan. They're all giving you different props you can play with on the fly, right? But to really spice up your love and your love making, you have to complete your 0 to 10 and 10 to 20 love energy, so that when you show up to the court, You are an athlete, so to speak, of self-love. And at this point, you're kind of full of yourself. Like, once you have explored yourself and know why you're so much lovable, you really are interested in someone else. Not because you want to complete yourself, but because you got lots of stuff to trade. What did you do? What's behind your closed doors? Right? That's how we want to feel. So last week, the gospel, that is basically the self-love ritual. That is basically our self-worship. And self-worship is what gets us from 0 to 10 degrees. And self-worship is that you have to continually make aware your lovability in yourself all day. Why am I lovable? Self-worship. I say start off with a gospel in the morning, some sort of a ritual that just gets it in your moods, plants it as a seed of the day. It's part of the whole it makes you magical kind of thing. Do you think, I believe, like now, Walt Disney's one of my favorite wizards, and thanks to people who've been sending me Walt Disney stuff, by the way, I very much appreciate that. I've learned some cool stuff about Walt I never knew before. But at the end of the day, I've been learning, it's like, if you're going to be like someone who's going to create a magical kingdom of your life, I mean, does Walt walk out the door depressed? Does he think for a second he's not cool? Do any of the wizards that you follow and admire think think they're not cool? The answer is no. That's not even an issue. They think they're so cool they can't wait to get started with themselves. And that's genuine. So the inner brat is coming up now as we move into chapter 2 of Sun and Leo. This is the proficiency week. The universe is dragging you through steps 10 through 20, these next steps. These next steps are ability to enlighten your heart and make your love proficient at any one turn. Make your love proficient through any part of you. So it's one thing to say, yes, I love myself, I'm the best, yeah. So that's your morning ritual. Now we go out in the world, and you live your daily life, and you march in your daily march, and suddenly you come across Oscar the Grouch, or you come across something that's different or not in your life vibration. And in that moment, you have a choice to continue to fan your fire or to allow your fire to be taken, to be fueled, taken away. Very good timing.
Well, thank you, Christopher. I'm enjoying learning all about love. You guys can come join us at soulgarden.me, and we're on the homepage. You can click on the link and join Practical Wizardry. It's every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're ready for our next segment, Christopher.
Thank you so much. So as we turn out this class, and I turn you over to steps 10 through 20, and this next week of living your love and marching in your love, it's important to know how to fan your fire, what to be aware of, and it's also important to know what your love story is. So be aware that you have to program yourself, ladies. For those of you whose love life is sinking like the Titanic, or any kind of that tragedy, that is a story we don't want to subscribe to. That is not our love story. And part of this next 10 degrees is writing your own love story. What is your love story? What is it? Right? Now, you can write your love story and realize that it will be your love story, but God will surprise you with the details. And this is how manifestation works. The love story often, one of the keys to writing a love story is that when the two of you meet, you're at chapter 3, passion. That each of the parties in the story is not being rescued or rescuing, right? If you want to rescue a rescue, you should get yourself like a wolf in a sheep costume and go for it in bed, right? Like you can play and create and play all those types of like dun dun, those kind of high drama things, but the truth of the matter is like love starts with a connection as an assumption and goes from there. You start there when you're in love, right? So we got to bring ourselves up to love, and we've got to get our own parade going, and we've got to get our own love story going. And our love story, I believe, should incorporate everything we love about life. So the person you're in love with is walking side by side with all the things you love and all the things you're manifesting. So when you're falling in love with yourself, which is what we're doing here to get up to step to 20 degrees, to get passionate about ourselves, we got to fall in love with everything about ourselves, including the bride-to-be or the groom-to-be. They're just one piece of the entire love boat, right? Oh, here we go. Love. You can't help it. What happened? The 70s, Pluto was in Libra in the 70s, and so we were just we just talked about love, like love for love's sake, right? Captain Steubing, you can be bald, we love you anyways. Doesn't matter. I think that for you, writing your love story is about breaking out of the love story that's not true, writing the love story that is true, which means in your manifestation and creativity, you are projecting that 20 degree. And in this next week, it means that you have to bring love to every part of your life. So this is the week of actually carrying the love to your life. And I always look at this kind of like as, you know, the old Fantasmic movie of Walt Disney where the brooms are carrying water. Bloom, 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 bloom. Because I believe that there are parts of our life that need to be watered with love. And if you want to light up to 20 degrees, you have to water your whole garden everywhere with love. And the states of awareness teach us what all the degrees are. The first degree is you have to lovingly protect. 0, step 0. So you put a loving boundary around you. So you love your boundaries. You love yourself. Loving yourself is an action. So you must take action to love yourself this week. So everything, there's only one step you'll find out is about thought. The rest are not. So take action to love yourself. That would mean a loving thing. Like, you know what, I'm going to change your sheets and put on nice smelly stuff so that when you go to bed tonight, Chris, it smells good. That's loving myself, believe it or not. And that's being a self-nurture to myself, too. And believe it or not, I go to bed that night, I'm like, oh, look at this. Ooh, it smells good. Ah. And you end up taking simple pleasures when you take simple steps of love. Step 2 is feel the love. You have to let yourself feel the love. You're not going to feel the love when, Marilyn Monroe comes to bed or whoever. If you don't feel the love right now without her, right, you won't know if it's her or you. That's the issue with love. Whenever you have love completing you, you don't know if it's you or them. If you know you're the best and then they're like, ooh, they see it too, there's no question, right? You've attracted true love because you're solid. You're not incomplete. You already love that part of you too. When they go, I love your thighs, you're like, I can't agree more. You know what I mean? I can't agree more. You know, instead of like, what do you mean by thighs? What do you mean by thighs? What do you mean by that? Okay, so that's like incomplete love. That has no racial tones whatsoever. I just think that black women are the only women that tell men off. White women don't do it. I mean, let's be honest. I have no movie reference of a good white woman tell a man off. I just have none to draw from. Meryl Streep maybe, you know, but I'm not going to mimic Meryl Streep. God bless her. She's too good. But the love story is the story you subscribe to, and this week you want to love all these steps. So you want to feel the love, you want to act on your love, step 3, you want to believe in the love. Now, a lot of love stories is all about just step 3, believing in love. So when you're like, when people go, go into that do-do-do-do-do-do-do, what are you doing in that time? I think you're just making yourself believe it. You're not doing much more to manifest it than that. It is very important. However, it's not all of it, right? So you need to believe in the love, yes, and then take as much time as you want. Listen to as much Linda Ronstadt or whatever, okay? That's a very 80s reference. Hey, but there's some out there that's like, oh, damn! Linda! I tickled some bells out there, some 56-year-old bells. Step 4 is you have to be, this is where a lot of people don't do well with the love. You have to be innovative with the love, which means are you open to how the love comes? A lot of people aren't. They're like, I want to be a Playboy centerfold. They're like, oh, too bad we had a hustler girl. Shit. That's what he never says. Oh, no, wait, yeah, whatever. Sorry, you said no. And that's boys and their thoughts. But women get very specific too and aren't open. It's like, no, has got to make this much money, or whatever their things are, and they're not open. So step 4 is you got to be open. You got to be like, accept it in anything that feels amazing. And that is an openness. That is not a inviting, right? You're not saying, please don't bring me an octopus wife. You know what I mean? Even though that's like hot to a lot of men. We're talking about an octopus. But I don't want to be octopus wife. No, thank you. Just one, So that's the kind of thing. You can draw, people get weird. They're worried about stuff like that. Like, please don't be falling up with that. Like some people, they're worried about going, put all this stuff in it. You got to be open. Step 8 is where you cut out the octopus wives, okay? So you have to stay open. Step 5 is when you think about it. So you don't get your mind to agree till step 5, all right? So step 5, you're the smart ass has to agree. And we'll go there another day. Step 6 is you have to be open to the love and open to the balance of it. And a lot of people aren't open to love and balance. Step 8 is that's where you decide no octopus, no cowboys, no rebuilt cowboys, right? Whatever. No fixer-uppers. Never fixer-uppers, sorry. If they're not ready at step 20, they're not ready. Sorry. No fixer-uppers. No layaway men. I always say that to my female clients. No men you just keep putting energy into. One day you can take them home to the store, right? No layaways. It doesn't work. You don't get laid and you never get the guy, both, because they're actually not interested in showing up 100%. So this week, as you move out in the whole world, your actions, your beliefs, your feelings, be open to innovation, your thoughts, the artistry of all of it, be open to the artistry of it. I skipped step 7, actually, which is your psychic awareness has to be open too. So we have to be open on all channels. We have to be loving on all channels. And when we're open and loving on all channels, we draw in love. Okay? Now, what happens is that people are open and loving on a couple channels, right? And so we tend to go out to clubs and hook up on just those channels. Hey, right? 2 is enough. I only need 2 channels. You know, but there's 12. Shut up. You know, that's my devil. Shut up. We don't need 12. Yeah, we do. So we can hook up on, and then it's like, oh, what happens is like people in the connection of love making, they do connect, and they connect through those 2 channels. And I think what happens is you can make love to someone through just a couple of connections, a couple of channels, a couple of states are talking. It's thrilling because it's squeezed through 2 channels. And a lot of times, too, when people want to complete each other, when they go hook up and they're not yet fully complete, it's like their highs and lows pour into each other. And that is a rush. So when you sleep with someone, and usually it's both. It's like, she's really done with this, so I'm really done with that. Woohoo! It's a mess, right? A hot mess. And that's fun. We all had that hot mess fun. But then what happens? You know, what happens is that through the 2 connections or through the 2 states or through the partials that you connect with, the rest of you also gets naked and comes for that ride through the 2. But then once you guys disconnect, the awkwardness, the gap, is that there was so much inauthentic connection there. Both parties end up feeling vulnerable and withdrawing because they came together not 100%. It was a thrilling ride. So this week, to kind of wrap up this little story of lovemaking, is about getting your own love to 100% so that when you connect to someone, you can take 100 and 100 and make infinity with that potential. Because the 2 suns are both stars upon their own. And so as you're walking through your life this week, you have to ask yourself, is every part of your state of awareness subscribed under the spell of your own love? And what is your love story anyways? You can start writing that. We're going to talk about that next week, is writing your love story. But you have to first get to be, you know, before we can talk about where the prince meets the princess or the princess meets the prince, we have to figure out, where does this prince or princess come from, and what is their journey? And what is their heart desire in this life? And that is what this next week is. Okay? Yay.
Oh, that was fabulous. So
Thank you.
Get your own love story is what we've been talking today on Practical Wizardry. Thank you, Christopher. That was wonderful.
You're welcome.
And amazing. And I just wanted to let you guys know that soul horoscopes are up, and they are fabulous. And also, Jupiter Gets Emotional. If you haven't gotten it already, you can go to soulmart.me, and it's an immediate download. I know that I have thoroughly enjoyed my Jupiter Gets Emotional.
It'll help you.
Me too.
Yes, it
It'll
did
help
for
you.
sure. And coming up next, we've got Dr. Matt Turner, and he is going to be doing channeling readings, and we'd love for you to come in and join us. You can just come to soulgarden.me and click on the home page, and I will have a link where you can come in and join us. And I just would like to give special thanks to GA9. Thank you, GA9, for being here today. She's our beautiful guardian agent. And thank you, Christopher. And
My pleasure. You guys go take a look at Dr. Matt. If you have, you know, one good thing for a channel reading is to ask what's blocking your love spells right now. What in your heart's blocking your love spells? Go ask Dr. Matt that question. He's great. All right, guys. Thanks.
Live, love, be.
TV.